Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me, Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called Overrun, released in 2021. This is a spoiler content video, so please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. The film opens with two Russian mafia members attempting to escape with a suitcase, but they are eventually apprehended. One of the Russian mobsters is identified as Yuri Dukova, the son of the Russian mafia's leader, Arkady Dukova. Yuri and his companion undergo interrogation and torture at the hands of American gangsters who are intent on acquiring the suitcase. One of the gang's leaders, Boka, presses Yuri to reveal the suitcase's key. However, Yuri remains silent, prompting Boka to resort to violence by stabbing Yuri's associate to force him to talk. After an exhaustive search, Boka eventually discovers the key. To everyone's surprise, the key does not match the suitcase, revealing that Yuri had substituted the real one with a decoy. The scene transitions to the headquarters of the American gangsters, where Yuri is taken and subjected to further torture. Soon after, the leader of the American gangsters, Ray Barron, arrives. He demands that Yuri disclose the whereabouts of the suitcase in exchange for sparing Yuri's life. Fearing for his life, Yuri finally confesses that he concealed the suitcase in one of the Russian mafia's headquarters. Unbeknownst to Yuri, Barron has no intention of keeping his word and informs Yuri that his life will be spared only for the day. The next day, Yuri's friend's lifeless body is discovered dumped in the middle of the road. Detective James Walsh begins investigating the case, initially considering it a routine street mugging. However, his senior detective, Blake, disagrees and believes it to be a murder case. Blake approaches the seasoned police officer Ed Dobbs for advice, but Ed acknowledges that Blake has a more adept grasp of case analysis. The narrative then shifts to Marcus Lombardi, a former Special Forces operative who resides with his beloved younger sister, Raina Lombardi. Raina expresses concerns about their financial situation and Marcus's extended unemployment, prompting Marcus to reassure her that he has secured a job opportunity. As it turns out, he has been offered a job by the American gangsters, with Boka, one of the gang's co-leaders, facilitating Marcus's meeting with Barron. Barron proposes a job to Marcus, retrieving a suitcase located within one of the Russian mafia's strongholds. Although Marcus initially harbors doubts, well aware of the formidable security measures in place, he is ultimately swayed by the promise of a $2 million reward. Without hesitation, Marcus accepted the mission and embarked on his quest. His first step was to reach out to a hacker friend named Augie Riggs, also known as Audie. Marcus enlisted Augie's help in stealing the suitcase that the American gangster leader desired. To sweeten the deal, Marcus promised Augie a substantial cut of the loot and successfully recruited him to join his team. In due course, Marcus initiated his mission to infiltrate the Russian mafia's headquarters. Guided by Augie, he systematically incapacitated the guards, one by one, until he successfully obtained the coveted suitcase. After completing his mission, Marcus contacted Barron and arranged a meeting. Barron instructed him to meet at a remote warehouse on the outskirts of town. Upon arrival at the warehouse, Marcus was taken aback to find Ed waiting for him, gun pointed directly at him. Ed demanded that Marcus open the trunk of one of the nearby cars. To Marcus's shock, he discovered Yuri lying in the trunk, gravely injured. Without hesitation, Ed shot Yuri, ending his life. Marcus soon realized that he had been set up by Ed and Barron. By making it appear as though Marcus had killed Yuri, they aimed to have him framed for the murder. Considering that Yuri was the son of the Russian mafia leader, Marcus knew that he would soon become a target of the Russian mafia's vengeance. Meanwhile, both Ed and Barron hoped to escape without facing any consequences. Understanding the gravity of his situation, Marcus attempted to overpower Ed and make a break for it with the suitcase. However, just as he was about to escape, detectives Blake and James arrived on the scene, attempting to apprehend him. Marcus managed to evade James but found himself cornered by Blake. Desperate to clear his name, Marcus tried to explain the circumstances to Blake, asserting that he had been framed by Ed. However, Blake, who had a long history with Ed, remained skeptical and refused to believe Marcus's claims. A physical confrontation ensued, and Marcus fought his way free from Blake, escaping with the suitcase. Simultaneously, Boka, the American gangster, successfully kidnaps Marcus's sister, holding her hostage elsewhere. In response to Yuri's death, Arkady, the leader of the Russian mafia, and Yuri's father were visited by Ed. Ed informed him of Yuri's demise and placed the blame squarely on Marcus, asserting that Marcus had infiltrated one of their strongholds. Upon Ed's departure, Arkady ordered his men to alert their entire organization to hunt for Marcus, dead or alive, offering a bounty of $2 million to whoever could deliver him. Meanwhile, Marcus reached out to Baron, demanding an explanation for being framed for Yuri's murder. Baron revealed his motive for framing Marcus, an attempt to escape from the formidable Russian mafia. He then proposed a deal to Marcus: surrender the suitcase he had obtained in exchange for his sister's safe release, as she had been kidnapped by Boca. Following his meeting with Baron and handing over the suitcase, Marcus knew he was being pursued by dangerous hitmen due to Arkady's bounty on his head for killing his son Yuri. Returning to Augie for help, Marcus learned that the hitmen were on his trail. Augie suggested contacting their friend, Doc, who had more experience in handling such matters. Arriving at Doc's place, Marcus briefed him on the situation and requested his assistance. Doc agreed to help, and he quickly reached out to Detective Blake, arranging a meeting for the next day at 8 a.m. The following day, under Doc's watchful eye, Marcus met with Blake and his team. Marcus asked the police to accompany him to a designated location. He specifically instructed Ed to remain in the car and not follow them. Marcus handed over the coveted suitcase to Blake, emphasizing its importance in securing his sister's release, as her life depended on it. To ensure its safety, Marcus directed Blake to handcuff the suitcase to one of his men's arms. Blake reassured Marcus, stating that they should not fear Ed, whom he considered old and powerless if indeed he was a traitor. Marcus put his trust in the police to save his sister and distanced himself, believing in their ability to handle the situation. However, he was aware that he was being targeted by multiple hitmen. As James prepared to handcuff Marcus, a hail of bullets rained down upon them, originating from one of the hitmen sent by Arkady to eliminate Marcus. In a sudden firefight, Marcus found himself engaged with the hitman. Ultimately, Marcus prevailed, eliminating one of the hitmen who had been pursuing him. Elsewhere, a separate hitman, who had accompanied Blake's subordinates, suddenly stopped en route. Surprisingly, he had brought the suitcase straight to Boca. It was revealed that one of Blake's subordinates, Officer Ellen Burke, was the traitor. She had been ordered to eliminate Ed, whom Baron no longer required. Ellen seized the suitcase and made her escape. Meanwhile, a hit woman entered Doc's residence and took him hostage. She had also been targeting Marcus. Fearing for Doc's safety, Marcus decided to surrender himself. However, a well-timed grenade disrupted the situation, seemingly out of nowhere. 2 additional hitmen had arrived on the scene. A fierce battle ensued, with Marcus and Doc joining forces to confront the 3 hitmen targeting Marcus. The hitwoman and the 2 hitman brothers fell into Doc's trap, and Marcus managed to eliminate the hitwoman in the ensuing confrontation. After the intense confrontation with the hitman, Marcus, accompanied by James and Blake, approached the dying Ed, who lay beside his car. Ed, in his last moments, apologized to Blake for his betrayal and disclosed the whereabouts of Marcus's sister, as well as provided evidence of Baron's criminal activities. With this crucial information, Marcus rushed to rescue his sister. Simultaneously, Helen met with Baron to hand over the suitcase and demand compensation for her work. However, instead of being rewarded for her services, she was ruthlessly killed by Baron. As Marcus ventured to the location where Baron held his sister, he confronted and eliminated the gangsters guarding the place. Finally, he reunited with his sister. Just as they were about to escape, Boca and one of his henchmen appeared. Marcus made a courageous decision, providing his sister with his gun and instructing her to flee while he confronted Boca and his accomplice. Using his extensive special forces training, Marcus outwitted and defeated them both, ensuring his sister's safe escape. That same night, Blake confronted Baron, presenting a wealth of evidence implicating him in numerous crimes. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Baron had no choice but to surrender himself. Meanwhile, Marcus returned home and explained to his sister that he needed to resolve everything, as Arkady's hitmen would continue to hunt him unless he took action. Marcus then went to Arkady's residence alone, where he revealed that Ed was Yuri's killer, despite initial skepticism from Arkady. However, Marcus provided a voice recording between Ed and Baron as evidence, ultimately earning Arkady's trust. As a sign of goodwill, Arkady awarded Marcus with the promised $2 million for coming forward and telling the truth. Before leaving, Arkady declared that Baron and his men would be hunted down, even if they sought refuge in prison. Marcus didn't forget the assistance he received from his friends and shared the money with Doc and Augie. In the end, Marcus and his sister used the funds he received from Arkady to open a restaurant business, setting them on a new path in life. Thanks for watching.